Hi there. Today, we're going to combine what we've learned about drawing inferences with comparing characters to create a story. We will be doing a fun project called Story Builders. You will get to create a full story with a script and maybe even create a video for that story. Just like this one. Let's get started. First, we need to do some review so you can develop the characters. In our English video for Lesson 1, we learned about figurative and literal language, as well as drawing inferences from text. Figurative language means the language is not direct. You can picture what someone is talking about, but it doesn't necessarily match the words. For example, my brother is as silly as a clown. I know my brother isn't a clown, but he can be silly and funny like one. Literal language is more direct. You can figure out the meaning directly from the words. For example, that woman is honking her car horn so loud. I am telling someone exactly what is happening. Inferencing means using clues from the text and your own knowledge to figure out what the author or speaker is suggesting. We use the figurative and literal language someone says or writes to make decisions, answer questions, and learn. For example, if a character is smiling and laughing, you might infer they're happy. If they're slamming doors and yelling, you might infer they're angry. That is very direct, right? If a character is smiling but says, "I've never done this before," you can infer that they are nervous and their smile is because they are uncomfortable. Now let's practice comparing characters. Comparing characters is a practice to help you see how highlighting similarities and differences can create an engaging story. First, choose 2 characters from a book you have read. They can be main characters, side characters, or even characters who never meet in the story. For example, from Harry Potter, you could choose Harry and Draco. From Charlotte's Web, you might choose Wilbur and Charlotte. How are your chosen characters the same? How are they different? Try to consider both figurative things like character traits, motivations, and feelings, as well as more literal things like actions and choices. You can use the guiding sheet from the ELA project-based workbook Lesson 1 to help you make comparison. You can also use the Venn diagram under the support section for help. There's also a list of character traits in the workbook in the support section as well. Let's turn the tables to your project now. Which do you want to do? A story or a script? Now that you've decided that, can you think of 2 characters? Can you describe each character using traits, feelings, and actions? Use the character development sheet in ELA project-based Lesson 1 for support, as well as the character trait sheets. Don't forget to name your characters. Now that you have the characters outlined, it's time to set up the plot. You have a complete guide in your ELA project-based lesson. Let's start with the rising action. The rising action is when there is build-up to a conflict, a mystery, or an interaction. Can you think of what could happen in your story that would create the rising action to something special and interesting? Use as many details as possible. Describe how the characters know each other, where they are interacting, and what they are doing. During this time, highlight your characters' similarities and differences. For example, if one character is brave and the other is cautious, show how they react differently to a challenge. You can also use dialogue to support your story. To use dialogue, there are certain rules. We use a comma before the quotation marks of when the dialogue starts, and then a comma at the end of the dialogue before the quotation marks. The climax is the story's most intense scene, the turning point where the main conflict reaches its peak. It's like the roller coaster's biggest drop. Here, the hero might face their toughest challenge, make a life-changing choice, or finally confront the villain. For instance, in a fantasy story, the climax could be a wizard's final spell to defeat a dragon. This moment decides whether the character succeeds or fails, leaving readers on the edge of their seats. After the climax, the story starts to wind down. The falling action shows the results of the big moment and ties up loose ends. Think of it like the roller coaster slowing down as it returns to the station. Characters might celebrate a victory, solve remaining problems, or reflect on what they've learned. For example, after winning the big game, a team might hug, cheer, or carry their coach off the field. This part gives readers a satisfying wrap-up before the story ends. Finally, let's talk about presenting your story or script. You can choose to. Perform a skit, create a comic strip, write a narrative. Look in your ELA project-based workbook to see some recommended websites like Canva to help you create a video or a book for free that you can publish also. You did great, especially for your first book or script. If you ever get stuck, just rewatch this video or ask for help during your tutoring session. You've got this. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.